All right, welcome to each of you this evening. Congratulations for making this call. My name is Don Duncan, and we are on really an unprecedented journey to support you in discovering your own yes energy and really learning about this equation to do less and make more. We are, of course, talking about Laurel Langmeyer's latest bestseller, her fifth bestseller, and we are now on week 7 of our 8-week journey together. Tonight, we are talking about 2 incredible components, the power of team, and we are talking about sequencing. And these are really cornerstones of the work that we do in Live Out Loud. So right now, I want to encourage each of you, grab your pen and paper. You always want to be a very active player in your own learning, especially when Laurel is in the teaching mode, and she is in the teaching mode tonight. So get yourself a quiet place, and without further ado, let's move into this. I give you Live Out Loud, founder and CEO, the author of Yes Energy, the equation to do less, make more, the one and only Ms. Laurel Langmeyer. Good evening, Laurel.
Thank you, Don. And thank you. That was there was some background noise, so I think that's all been taken care of now. So welcome, and thank you, Don. Don will be reading off some questions as we go through the call, so make sure that you are attending. We're noticing we know there's a lot of you. There's upward of 1,000 of you that are registered for attendance. But what we're noticing is when you go to findyouryesenergy.com, you get the homework. A lot of you are getting the homework, but you're living quietly. So this is Live Out Loud. It's about being in a conversation, enhancing your conversation. And the only way, for 16 years now, that we've been able to help you do it in any of our financial coaching we did for 5 years when we were part of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that whole cash flow game and that whole process, to the financial coaching we do, Team Made Millionaire. I mean, every program we do, it's about changing this conversation and getting you really committed in action and sharing, as many of you that have been out to the 3 days to cash workshop and those of you who've been to the big table, that group dynamic, which enhances your conversation, has you think about things that you've never thought about, has people become part of your team, which is what tonight's conversation is about, is you got to share. You're not the only ones having the thoughts. You're not the only ones feeling like you're out there by yourself. You're not the only ones walking this journey. So I can promise you, it is not just our experience, it's our students' experience, it's thousands of people's experience, that your conversation is going to enhance, your attitude's going to shift, your yes energy is really going to be anchored into your life when you start living out loud with people that are around you, committed to the same conversation and committed to this journey. So we are in Find Your Yes Energy, part of our 8-week series. We're at week 7 tonight. And as all of this is recorded, there are homework assignments and a forum for you to continue. So even if you're listening to this later, continue to be engaged and do your homework, ask questions, share. And if you really want some one-on-one help, we do have Yes Energy coaches that are standing by, can take you one-on-one on a journey through finding your yes energy and having this be the foundation of your entire life. Now, clearly, we want to bring you back to the money conversation. We're going to bring you back to an entrepreneurial conversation, a marketing conversation, a tax benefit conversation. We're going to bring you back in to putting more cash in your pocket, to the cash machine, to becoming millionaires, to learning to invest in one of the greatest economies we'll ever have in our lifetime. But if you don't have a true Yes Energy foundation, like really Yes Energy foundation, we're finding many of you just continue to struggle and struggle. So I think at some point you've got to say, I'm done struggling. And a big piece of that is your team. You know, when I wrote the book, Yes Energy, the equation to do less, make more, do less is do less of the things that you are not really that great at, or frankly, you don't want to do. And, before, and I've always had this saying, so if you need time, because that's your no energy excuses, I don't have time, then you need a team. So I don't have time cannot be an excuse. We all have the same clock worldwide that we operate on. It's how you're choosing to use it. And the accountability that we're going to be asking as we continue to really help you anchor yes energy in your life is going to become quite apparent to what we mean by true commitment. So let's jump into the power of teams, to sequencing. We're at chapter 13 and 14 of the book. So we have been walking now for 6 weeks through this journey of the book and challenging you, inquiring with you, and giving you homework. So some of last week's homework, which I can tell you I've had enormous feedback from last week's call and lesson around the problem of being perfect. And, what can you do in your daily routine? So this is some of last week's homework that can favor action over the perfection and planning. See, some of you really, you've been to big table coaching, 3-day workshop, internet marketing classes. You're really engaged with us at a lot of program levels, but the result isn't happening because you're questioning the checklist. You don't want to do some of the things on the checklist. You say, well, if I, have 10 things to do, I only want to do those 3. That's fine, but somebody's got to do the other 10. And that's what I don't think that you really get about Yes Energy. These aren't like questionable, or variable checklists. They are mandatory checklists. When you do them all, we guarantee you'll make money. We guarantee your life will change. If you work with a personal trainer, you don't just get to do one of the activities. You have to do all of them and in the sequence that they talk about. So as we talk tonight about team and sequence, that perfection little gremlin is going to keep seeping into your life until you really decide and really get it, like in every cell of your body, like really get that the planning and the perfection has just got to go by the wayside. Now, you can plan later, but let's sell first. So what are you currently, rejecting because you don't think that it's possible? There isn't time. How do you act and be in decision making to create bigger movement? So bigger movement is about that truly say yes and figure out how. And say yes is that commitment. So what kind of action and decision making are you making? What happened this week? Did you create any bigger movement because you said yes? Now, when you said yes, because I'm sure that you had a few sleepless nights, you were a little stunned, and you're still, you're still wondering how you're going to get things done, which is okay that you have that wonderment about you. Anchor back to the faith. Remember in our first chapters of the book where we talked about having faith, that's where you have to have just enormous faith with the right action. The other homework from the problem with perfection is in what areas do you lead your energy, and what areas do teammates need to support or shield your energy from the big saboteurs? We talked a lot about where the saboteurs are, and you really getting clear about where you have some strength and where do you need support. And it doesn't mean that you're weak when you need support. I think that's an old conversation, that if you ask for help, it's a sign of weakness. So I see when you ask for help and when you ask for that shielding, you ask for accountability, it's you being very smart in knowing the action and the result that you need to create. Other homework. What are the small daily actions, the small things every day, the goals that are contributing to your overall and larger progress? How are you held accountable to those actions in a positive and motivational way? And really, who's holding you accountable to those? Like, who's really every day in your corner? And I do want you to continue to look around, because I think it's quite a cleaning process for many of you, where you are compromising and tolerating people in your life that truly, they're just not there, they're not in your corner, they're not on your side. And then the last few questions on the homework was, are there areas in your life where you're struggling with perfect? Where can you just say yes to something new that's going to help you break through that barrier? And again, finding people who say yes and modeling that process, that behavior, that commitment is, again, your fastest way to success in this conversation. You can hear me say it. You can read about it. You can read the book 10 times, but until you see somebody model it, you see someone say, oh my gosh, like that's a say yes, figure out how moment, and know it, like know that they put it on the line, and then you follow right behind and do it. That's when I see you're going to have those big breakthroughs. So really continue to work on this perfection. It's one of those muscles that you have to atrophy. We don't ask you to atrophy very many muscles in your life, but this problem with perfection one, it's quite the problem. That's why we had it be a solo chapter for you, and really want you to break that through. Now, these two chapters, 13 and 14, every time I get into this, back into the book, and my audio books just come out, so if you'd rather hear it than drive around and listen to it, you can get it at Hay House, you can get it at Amazon, you can get it Audible. So my audio book is out, and there's just another way to listen to this conversation over and 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 over. But, every time I get into the chapters, I think, oh, this is my favorite chapter. And so that's kind of how I feel about these two. But the truth is, if I go back to faith and confidence and certainty, I'd have to say those are my favorite ones. So, and many of you that have known me, it's been very fun, and I appreciate all your insights and texts and Facebook posts of you noticing that it's the tell-all book. And it really is. It's the foundation which how I live. It's how I authentically live. This isn't just an idea or a concept and a hope. I truly live in yes energy all the time. We say yes and figure out how. My team knows it. Ask them. It'll be kind of a fun interview. Maybe we'll have to do that. Because they say yes and figure out how in their own way in every place of Live Out Loud. And that's the team. There's a huge team at Live Out Loud. There's families that whole lives are supported by the movement of the company Live Out Loud. There's coaches, there's instructors, there's vendors. It's not just a small group. And all of us take our place doing the thing that we know how to do best, and then let other people lead in the area they do it best. Now again, that's easy to hear, but where are you really allowing that, and where do you really get clear about that? So, you know, in each area of your life, and I want to remind you, we're looking at 8 areas of your life, and clearly I always anchor back into that career and money and entrepreneurial area. Then that's just where we spend a lot of time at Live Out Loud. But I do want you to think about this in the same context of your spiritual growth, your relationships, your health, your physical space. You know, we're changing seasons across the world. In Australia, we're going from, you know, we're heading into the fall, and we're then heading into the winter. Here in America, we're going spring and then into summer. And so as even the seasons change, I mean, your whole physical environment, you know, gets shifted. You know, here in America, we're up in the mountains. I see tons of people getting landscaping and gardening done. I, you know, see down under, you're getting ready for a winter. So, I mean, I'm talking about getting teammates, like literally. So you men listening, are you doing all the landscaping, all the stuff yourself? Are you getting help doing it because you don't have enough time? Like every place in your life, you know, where are you not allowing help in your life? Where are you still not getting housekeepers in your life? Where are you not getting web designers? So as you look at all the areas of your life that we've talked about, where are you getting help? Where are you allowing help? And where are you still holding on tight? And then the sequencing, as we move to that chapter, where are you doing the right thing, but out of order? And you know that it's out of order because the result isn't occurring. So the power of a team, you know, in my town, you know, we had to team up if we wanted anything to get done. So we learned about teamwork early on. Since there weren't very many kids in my school, which is true, I had 24 kids in my graduating class. If we wanted to have a basketball team, everyone had to join, even if people weren't good at it. Similarly, if we wanted to put on a play, every kid had to take part in the drama club so we could get the show on the stage. That's, you know, why I played softball, so the softball, you know, players could have their sport, and that, you know, they played basketball, which is where I excelled. I played, you know, 5 instruments, throughout, you know, from marching band to orchestra. I can tell you I sat in choir, and I still can't sing a note, even though, you know, Ken on our team sings karaoke very well and wants me to always go out and do that. That just isn't going to ever happen, or it'll be hysterical if it does. So I just know about teams. I also grew up in a large German family with gazillions and gazillions. I don't even know that that's a number, but I think it is in our family. The Langmars have gazillions and gazillions of cousins. So having team and being raised by lots of people has always been a dynamic. So it might be, in some ways, a little more of a muscle that I grew up conditioned with, but it's one that I know all of you can take on. I think the piece you have to look at, and I'm going to go back to using health as an example. If you hire a personal trainer and they give you a very specific sequence, they give you a nutrition plan, a hydration plan, a sleeping plan, you don't get to vote. All of it is required to get the health goal. Similarly, we have a Yes Energy Challenge that we've just launched. It's guaranteeing you $100,000 for $5,000. If you don't make 100 in the year, you get 5,000 back, but you have to do everything we said. And it's so interesting. I have never, in the history of my coaching and mentoring, had so many people really finally have to come to their own truth to say, I'm scared to death to put it on the line because I know that I can help you. In fact, I'm willing to put the guarantee on it. I haven't done that in the history of my career, but you know, it's time because I know I can help you make money. We do it every month, month after month after month at the Cash Machine Workshop, which, you know, was one of my get ready moments for our team here at Live Out Loud. And says, let's put it on the line. Let's tell people we can do it, but you have to do it. And that's when this magical moment came where we put the list together. If you do everything we say, we know you'll make money. I coached a client yesterday for 12 minutes, and within a couple hours, she made $2,500. She texted me back and said, you're just a freaking genius, Laurel. And I said, no, I'm not a freaking genius. I've been telling you to do this for 3 months, and you finally did it. And we had no other conversation but just the actions in front of you. And that's all you could do. There was no other conversation, no other excuses. It was only yes to those couple actions, and there's money right there. I said, do that every day, and we're not talking until you have 10,000 in your bank. And then when we do that, we'll talk again, and then we'll talk again. And so what's interesting is the list and the strategies and the sequence we have, it works. We know it works. We've done it for too many people. The question is, when will you stop questioning all the people that have the result? Not just us. I'm talking about your health trainer. I'm talking about spiritual advisors. I'm talking about relationships, people that you put in your life to have you have better relationships. People have answers. The how-tos have been known for a very long time. So what's really interesting is really it gets to you, and it really gets to your commitment. Are you willing to get team? Because you can't do it all alone, but you have to do everything it takes to get it done. And it's really been insightful, and I want to challenge you. Are you really getting team? Are you really willing to do less and stop being perfect, stop controlling, have faith, gain the confidence in the areas you're really good, and allow your team to do what they're magical at? And now the ways to get to some of that is, this is a lot of ways. So let's get to the book. So for those of you that are in the American back, the hardback book, it's $165, and I want to talk about the endless time versus team cycle. For most of you, you struggle to find the time in your day, whether it's in business or your personal life, like we just talked about. And being busy is not productive. Busy comes because of the central focus of your life in the things that you think you have to do. And it's also, busy comes from being reactionary, where other people are driving your day. So instead of you getting up and saying, these are my revenue producing activities, these are the things that I'm going to do to drive my day and drive my results in every area of your life. So as we've talked about many times in this program, from getting up, and like for me, I get up and I do my spiritual work, my family work, I do my health work, and then I'm on to my day. And I can tell you, when I'm out of that routine, it's crazy making. It feels like a no energy day. It's a tougher day than to really get in that pattern of having the things that you want, because you can have it all. You truly can, but you have to claim it. So don't allow your day to be a reactionary day. Get in that routine and that pattern that we talked about even in last week's, chapters, where you drive your day. You say, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to spend my time, because when I do these things, and when my team does these things, collectively a result gets produced. Now, for some of you who don't have as much experience, many of you on the call have jobs. This is the first time out in entrepreneurial land. Notice that it's even more important that you don't challenge the checklist. When we say you've got to do these things, like we just, put out another cash machine. We do them every month. We do them here in America, and we do them in Australia. And people question the action list. And the action list is the same action list, is always the same action list. The question is, are you ever going to do it? Like really do everything we say. Guarantee anybody who does, they make the money. I have students in Australia that were making hundreds of thousands when we met them about 18 months ago. And now they're on track this year to make $4 million. Not only did they do what we said, they amplified everything we said. And instead of doing 21 leads a day, they were bringing in 100 a day. Instead of hiring 3 or 4 people to sell, they hired an entire floor of people to sell. Instead of doing just a few online and offline marketing campaigns, they did 10 in offline, 10 in online. So they amplified everything, and they're producing an enormous result. So again, the question is, are you willing to use the team? And if you don't know how, which is where I started this track, if those of you who don't know how, it is even more imperative that you spend time with team members who know how. Notice how much time busy time you waste in your day having conversations that sound more like opinions with people who don't have the result that you want to produce. So those are interesting opinions, they're interesting chats, they're never going to serve you. So the cost of the team is actually the path to growth. I want to say that again. I want you to make a poster. I want you to pin it on your wall. The cost of your team is actually your path to growth. The first money that you generate in your business has to go to eliminating this busy work. That's taking up the time cleaning your house, transporting, your kids around town, or, running errands around town, out of a cash machine, a 3-day workshop. We'll say the first money is get your time back. The second money is get your sales and marketing fixed. And it's 1 and 2 in whichever order you need to. Some of you have better marketing and your websites and databases work. And some of you have, no sales process. And some of you need both. And then the fourth thing is the bookkeeper. The fifth thing is you can apply more towards debt. But when you put money towards growth, Debt will go away over time and you'll never be in debt. Remember, the only reason any of you that are listening to the call are in credit card debt is because you didn't know how to make enough money to have the life you wanted. Right? Remember, you didn't have enough money to have the life you wanted, so you put the life you couldn't afford on a credit card. So there's no reason you should have credit card debt. It should be paid off all the time, but you have to learn to create the cash. So again, the first cash in your business should go to that support on the home front, and the next should go towards the marketing, should go to sales. So some of the homework that I want to give you is after you, like, during the day, I want you to almost stop hour after hour and really understand the value of an effective hour. Like, what is an effective hour really, really for you? How much money could you really make if you were doing a revenue producing hour? Like, really, how much could you make? And I bet some of you right now, you say, well, it's 20 an hour, it's 50 an hour, it's 100 an hour. I know many of you on the call, easily, when you understand leverage, you understand team, and you start doing the right things that generate that productive day for you, you'll be generating thousands, not only in a day, but in an hour. I know it works. I've done it. We've done it over and over and over on the Live Out Loud teams, and we've done it with our students that actually do it in the right order. So the other thing that's going to help you, and I really want to give you this homework, I've given it to you throughout the course as well, is for those of you who have decided on a business and you know what it is, you have to get your business plan done. Part of the business plan process that we offer you, the Building, Leading, Protecting Your Business, it's that 4 CDs with the workbook, super easy, about a 4-hour business plan process that I take you through. In there, I go through a very specific process of teaching you how to understand your strategies and tactics. And in that, you'll start identifying the job descriptions for your teammates. Remember, many of you, if you haven't had a good team experience, what we see is that you're not clear about what you want your teammates to do. So you tend to hire cheap labor, inexperienced labor, teammates that, you're really paying for and training them up while they're learning versus bringing people that know what they're doing on your team. And then many of you, because you don't know who should be on the team, you're just kind of tolerating anybody. So again, really be specific. Who do you want? What do you need them to do? And make sure from, the first ads you put in the paper, whether it's, like a job seeker in Australia to a Craigslist here in America, be really clear who they are, what do you want them to do, and how you're going to train them as you bring them in, and what kind of equipment do they need. I think that's really underlooked when you're bringing people on your team. So spend some time. What's the effectiveness of your time? What's the effectiveness of your hour? And really reflect during your day. How many hours go by where you were busy and reactive to other people versus you driving those hours and being really productive? And then how many of you have hours where you're struggling with things, you don't want to do things, and you're doing things that you really could be hiring for a better result? All right, so I really want you to look through what's productive, what do you need to be outsourcing, what is the list. You don't need to hire this huge team to get started, but along the process, I promise you're going to have consistent cash when you do what you need to do more of, and you hire the team that you need to do less of. Do less, make more is do less of the things that you don't need to do. That doesn't mean they don't have to get done, and I think that's a piece of the equation that a lot of you are not hearing. You have to do everything on the checklist, whether it's my checklist for money making, entrepreneurial training, sales training, selling from the stage, whatever your fitness coach says, your spiritual coaches say, you have to do the list. If you want yes energy, you have to do the inquiries in this book that we've been asking you to do. And notice how many times you disqualify and say, well, I don't have to do that. That's not something I need to deal with. Or you vote. And you say, well, I don't think that's part of the list. I think that I can avoid that thing and I'll get it done some other way. And if you've never had the results, the definition of insanity is keep doing what you're doing and keep getting what you got. And it's not going to work very well. Those of you, again, who say you can't afford it, for the first $100 that you start generating, you're going to start paying someone to clean your house, give you back those time. The next 100 to 200, you're going to get a sales process in place for those of you who have leads, people who are interested in what you have. And for the next couple $100, up to $400 or $500 maybe, you'll get somebody to work on your WordPress blog, your landing page, whether it's MailChimp or Infusionsoft, but get your database started. Again, it's not going to take more than, I'm going to say about $1,000, $1,500 to get these businesses properly started with the right team in the right order. Again, do less, make more. The common link between those who are successful and those who are not is their team, right? I consistently am working with my team, stretching my team, asking them to model yes energy, and do the same things. I mean, it's very easy for folks who know a lot of things, and this I'm going to speak to many of you now. You know, and I think about many of my team members on my team, right, including myself. We know how to do a lot of things, but is it the things we should be doing that's causing the best result? So again, you really got to look at what's the most important thing you need to be doing and enroll people to be on your team. That's going to create that time so you have the S energy, you have the S energy attitude. And your team should push, everybody else on the team. And so you want to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So comfortable being uncomfortable is that there's this kind of constant push. We've recently done this to our team, and there's just this adrenaline, this fun, this excitement, this goal achievement, the results that you get to, celebrate together. It's extraordinary. And, you can struggle along and get no results. And then notice that when you do that, and when you consistently also hire team members that really aren't to the standard you need to hire, or you're not leading and driving, notice that you get a self-fulfilling prophecy of saying, see, team members don't work. I know I could probably name a dozen plus people on the hand that are committed to not having teams because they're so controlling and they actually keep hiring the wrong people. They set them up to fail by not giving them a computer and a phone to work with. You don't give them the tools to work with. You're not clear about what they need to be doing, so they're constantly wrong. And then you get to be right. I know some women who do that with housekeepers. Oh, nobody can clean my house better than me. So then you get to be right about never having a house cleaner, which means you never get that time back. So notice again where you have saboteurs around this whole concept of team. The team's going to push each other. Again, I want you to stay uncomfortable and accountable to each other. And I want you to have teams every area of your life. So again, as we look at all the areas of your life, who's supporting you in each area? So again, I want you to write these down. Write down your money, career, your health, your spiritual growth, your relationships in your life, your friends, your family, your significant relationships, your physical environment, which could include landscapers to housekeepers to people who organize your desk, to your assistant to organize your phone calls and emails. I mean, just your whole physical environment. Like, where do you need help? Are they the right team members? And here's the other thing I want to offer, is sometimes they're the right team members, but they're not doing the right role. I know many of our students at the big table, they'll hire someone to do like an assistant job, and all of a sudden they have them doing some bookkeeping tasks. Or they'll have a salesperson doing, online marketing and internet marketing tasks, or vice versa. And so you really want to make sure that the skill sets in your team stay focused as well. So again, let's talk, how do you build this team? So yes, it's going to take some money to do it. I can promise you the money you will find to get the first team members up and running, instead of say I can't afford it, is what do you have to sell to afford it? Just like the client I was coaching the other day, $2,500 in a 12-minute session because she did exactly what I told her to do, now affords her the upgrade in a database, which she moved to immediately. That was part of the deal, is that as she made that money, she had to upgrade to a proper database and affiliate marketing system that she didn't have in place, and she needed to hire 2 salespeople and put them in place with that first money that she made, and then she can get bookkeeping. All that she can afford with that $2,500 she just made. Now, so where does she get more money to continue to pay them? Is she keeps doing exactly what I told her to do. I mean, remember, in a couple hours, she made $2,500 doing exactly what we said. And those of you that have been to a cash machine, you know it's possible. The woman who just came out of the last cash machine made over, $10,000, almost $11,000 in 3 days. Declan in Australia made $41,000 in 3 days. Ace made $18,000 3 days. Jerry made $13,000 3 days. All very different industries, very different skill sets. It works, but it's because they're doing exactly what we're talking about doing, and they hired team themselves with that money. So how do you build these teams? Let's get down to some nitty-gritty here. I want you to look again, what do you need and where do you need it? Where in the areas of your life do you need the most help? Because A, you're struggling doing the task. I really want you to look there. Now, I know that you're consummate learners. I am too. And it's kind of fun to say, well, I want to get engaged and I want to learn all this stuff. Well, not at the expense of going broke. That's where you launch poor. So I really want you out pre-selling. I want you out selling, generating money. And look at the areas where you're spending time learning things that aren't truly your skill set. Really look there. And I know some of you got to get candidly honest. And frankly, you should probably have some of your friends or family or people that are next to you give you some insights to where you're wasting time. And some of you, you just constantly procrastinate things. So where you're putting it off, where you, under the guise of I'm learning all these things and it's really important, not really, not at the expense of no money. So again, many times the business ventures that people partner up with are friends, family, women. You do this, you hire your girlfriends, and it's a huge mistake. They don't have the right skill sets. You want complementary skill sets. If it's your business, again, keep in mind that, the money dynamic can change very, very quickly. And I can promise you, not only with you making money, your team making money, you'll have more money to afford team. The entire team will move to yes energy faster than you've seen anything else in your life. But you have to lead with that intensity, and this can't be a slow, gradual growth. If you want to grow and get in shape and get strong muscles, you don't work out once a week and hope that over the course of 52 weeks you're going to have an enormously, strong, lean, flexible, fit body. It might happen very slow, but why do it in a year, 1 day a week, when you could do it 4 days a week and compress that? It's the same thing, and the thing is the energy that's going to get generated by movement, not just physical movement, but just intentional movement, attitude movement, team movement. You're going to be surprised at the compounding power of energy in your life. And that, one person's energy and one person's energy isn't a combined of two. It actually creates 3, 4, 5. You get a team of 5, 10 people working together, it's magical what gets created. That's why I love doing this 3-day workshop. I love watching teams of people who don't know each other come together, support each other, make an economy, supporting each other on needs and services and skill sets that they never knew were possible or even identified they needed, and leave so much more relaxed, happy, and the first thing to do is put money in their pocket and they go to the bank. So how do you continue? Find the team, look at the places you need it. Know you know nothing, meaning you can't be an expert in everything. So get really honest with yourself. Have enough ego to know you have no ego when you're building your team. Allow people to have their greatness. I've had some amazing mentors in my life, but I watch them have to be the only king in the castle, the only queen in the shop, the only person who can be a superstar. The truth is everybody around you deserves the right to be a superstar in the thing that they're good at. So when you allow people to be fabulous, doing what they want to do and excel at it, everybody gets to win. So remember, constantly consult experts, mentors, coaches, and others who have the result you want, not that are working on the same result. So you can be on the same team and you can hold each other accountable as you're working on the same result, but only get the advice from people who have the result. It's so interesting. Like I look at our space right now. Our space is becoming very crowded with people who are helping people write books. And I look at the people who are helping people write books and they don't have a bestseller. So it's just hysterical to me. They don't even have an Amazon, which, we can do an Amazon on our sleep. We've done 5 New York Times. We're on the Nielsen's #1 book scan in Australia for weeks and weeks now. I mean, just constant press now. It's so exciting. I've gotten on every big TV show. I'm heading there in a week again. I mean, we've done it. We know what it takes. So it's interesting to watch all these people also say, I'm going to teach you how to sell from the stage. And I know their results from the stage. Some of these people haven't produced more than a couple pennies from the stage. But boy, they're making a lot of money training people on a result they've never produced themselves. So I don't share that to just put down, my colleagues and some team members who are doing that. I'm saying that so you get smart. You need to become more due diligent in who you're taking advice from. And they don't have to be these seminar leaders and experts. My first amazing mentor was a bank president. Nobody knows his name. Nobody knows, he's retired now. Ross Wilcox, you could look him up. You're never going to find him. He's just a guy that's in the middle of Nebraska somewhere, probably enjoying his retirement. I haven't stayed in touch with him. I wonder what he was doing, but he was extraordinary. I could talk to him every day, and he taught me how wealthy people invested their money way back when I was in college. And so I'm talking about people who know need to be part of your team. And I want you to stop having conversations with people who don't know. So again, you don't have to know everything to run a successful business. And even more, you don't even have to have a business plan in the beginning to make money. Now, over time, as we say at the Cash Machine and the work we do in all of our programs, over time you've got to get that business plan done. But you don't have to have it today. Today, if you went out and asked somebody for money because you're going to solve a problem, meet a need, you could make the money. And then that money would start buying you the team. Again, model, but don't compare. Find others who are doing, again, what you want to do, and avoid looking side by side as you are working with people who are headed towards the same result. What we find, one of the biggest detriments, and the reason I bring this up in the book about looking side to side, is when you look side to side, you tend to especially if you have some competitive edge in there, and you're not going as fast or as big, or, the result they're creating looks a little different. That's their game. And everyone's going to have a different game. I mean, you could look at the space that I'm in. There's a lot of people who say they do what we do. And I don't look side to side. I look side to side from a modeling perspective, but not a competitive or comparing or feeling like I'm not enough. And I think that's a really dangerous risk for a lot of you women, especially to say, well, I'm not producing enough. And then many of you lay it down if you start getting that no energy around you because you don't have the people who are supporting you, propping you up, and holding you. And the other thing I want to say about modeling, finding people who are going to hold you accountable, and finding the team members is make sure they do have similar values. I talk a lot about values, passion, focus, big whys. Lots and lots of people, if you ask independently, from the instructors to the coaches to people on our team, we have very similar values and very similar whys and why we do this work. And then one of the biggest pieces that being a single mom, is you have to have an amazing home team. And when I talk about home team, I want you to bring these people on your team like they're family. In my kitchen, I have this amazing sign that I have hung up that says, some of your best friends become your family. And that's where your home team has got to be that integrated. And I think some of you think, well, I'm just going to hire help and keep them outside. And I've seen a lot of people do that. And you just tend to struggle, right? If your home's your sanctuary and it's a place that you are raising children and you want it to be a learning environment and a safe environment and a sacred environment, then you've got to bring these people in and you've got to get an amazing home team that you not only feel safe, but you want to come home. I'm always asked in the media if I go anywhere in the world, because I can, where would I want to go? And I want to come home. In fact, I've done almost the majority of all of these calls from my home in Tahoe, overlooking an amazing lake, beautiful sunsets because of the time of day we're doing our recording, overlooking the mountains, deep in the Granite Mountains. Beautiful. Why else would I go anywhere else? So on your team, you want to start really defining, where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? If you could have it all, what would you be doing? And then who's the team around you? Who are you going to model? Who's going to support you? How are you going to create that result very quickly? What are you going to outsource? Don't do a whole bunch of things that you're not good at, and really stop that. Be in control without being controlling is another place for teams. Understand the types of energy that drives teams. What part of the doing needs to be yours versus, what can be done by others. And I want to speak to that because it does link back to the problem of perfection. Some of you, the reason you're not getting subs and team members, and from, all my big table students are flashing in my mind, from massage therapists to chiropractors to orthopedic doctors to dentists to clothing designers to cooks to all sorts of you who say, but nobody can do it better than me. You know what? With proper training, they can get close. They can get in the ballpark. And if you want leverage, you've got to systemize what you're doing. And you can't systemize if you keep customizing. Write that down. You cannot systemize if you keep customizing, which means you're never going to grow. It's just too one-on-one, too slow, and the cost effectiveness of your hours will never add up. Understand that no one is going to work like you, and it's okay, that not everything has to be done your way. It just has to get done. So where I want you looking is getting more attached to the result than the way that it gets done. Now, you don't throw it all to the wind. Like, I care about how some things get done, but I don't care about the micro detail. Like, you've got to be willing at some level to let them run, them meaning your team, let them do it their way, because remember, you're hiring people that are better at certain tasks and activities than you are, As long as the results achieved, you still get your goal. And spend some time looking around for the help and understanding that the team is better in certain areas than you are. Continually look that way. Again, don't partner sideways. Always partner up. So that means for you, again, having coaches. And I want to bring this to like technical and bookkeeping training. I see a lot of people make this mistake in team building. And I mentioned it earlier, but I want to explain it a little more, is that you're spending time and hours training people, right? So you're maybe the first 30 days, they actually didn't get a lot of results done, but what they did do on your time is get trained to do what they needed to do. That is not appropriate use of your money. They should come ready with the expertise to execute day one on the job or within 1 week. So really notice where you're spending training dollars instead of getting a result. Continuously be looking around to build your team. Another place where we find that there's a big breakdown and that you're not growing fast enough is that you're tolerating just one team member. Like you found the one writer, the one web designer, the one fulfillment coach, the one subcontract, writer or chiropractor, but you don't have enough subs and you don't have enough team members that if anything happened to that one team member, your whole business would stop. So just remember, you're going to need more resources than what you think you have. You don't need to hire them all, but have them in a directory, have them in your database that if and when you want another accountant, another bookkeeper, another person in your life, another home support help. What if your home help goes on vacation or goes, away with their family for a month? What are you going to do? Who else can you put in? So always have more team members than you need, at least at your fingertips. And understand who plays to the strengths, who protects your energy, and how do you protect people's energy. Really, it's a mutual relationship when you get into these team dynamics. And when I say commit to lead like you've never led, I mean, we almost put an entire chapter, which we put a sub-chapter, it's lead like you've never led. Some of you think that you're leading well, and if the result isn't happening, you've got to step in and lead like you have never led before, because no one cares about the vision and the direction that you're taking your life. And especially if you've got a lot of people on your team, they're counting on you to continue to move that train forward. So lead like you've never led. So let's see on some of the inquiries as you go through the cost benefit of a team, the doing less, make more, continue to pace. Let's see, some homework I'm going to give you in addition to what I've given you is I want you to really, I think the biggest one that's most tactical for most of you is pay attention to the next day. So tomorrow, really pay attention to what you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. Really make those lists of the do less and make mores, and start making a priority list of when are you going to hire and who are you going to hire and what will they be doing. Get your business plan done so you can get very clear about the kind of roles you need that you're not good at. Get very clear in your home what kinds of things you want people to support you with. From cleaning your house to cooking to landscaping to doing home maintenance. What do you need help with? Okay? So as we move to sequencing is an amazing catalyst. It's the right thing at the right time. And I know that people have talked about this before, but the final, factor of the equation from change your conversation, faith, confidence, certainty, multiply it times your dreams, add your gifts, add your team and do it in the right order. It's just essential that you do the right things, but you do them at the right time. So again, some of you are spending money on bookkeeping, but your marketing and sales is broke. Not a lot of money to count. You don't need to spend the money as much on the bookkeeper. You need to get the marketing and sales fixed. So a lot of things done out of order. Many of you are writing your book to completion before you pre-sell it. Completely wrong order. You're doing a webinar and you're planning it for the next 2 months versus selling it for the next 2 months. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But I want each day for you to plan that visualization. So again, I'm on page 183 of the book, planning the day, the month, the years, like really get it in your feeling part of your body, like really deep. What's it going to look like, feel like when you have the life you want? And take that time to really think about the situation. Probably the way that I learned sequencing is from sports psychology. I remember being so highly trained in basketball and in sports that, we played the game in our head. Like literally we played the plays in our head. We played forward. I play my day in my head. I play big tables in my teachings. I play the stage in my head. I get energy from the stage. I know what I want to do. I feel the energy in the room. I do the same with cash machines. So I think a lot of you, if you think about it, you probably want the result, but you're very casual in the intention and the sequencing of how you're going to get there. So again, many times you know where you are, you know where you want to go, but the steps are out of order. So sequencing again, just start with your daily routine. How do you get your day more effective? Where do you put all of those push-in phone calls where everybody's wanting your time? They're emailing you. Like some of you, you wake up and you do emails first. Completely wrong. Oh my gosh, you couldn't be doing anything more crazily backwards. By starting your day returning phone calls and emails, all you do is start your day in a reactionary period. First of all, get that off your plate. Or around 3 to 5 in the afternoon, that's when you do that. But you drive your day very properly in the beginning of your day, and you drive towards the result, whether that's money, which needs to be for most of you on the call. Again, if you want a health goal, I don't find a lot of people who do that late in the day and are very effective. Almost everybody that I know that's highly, highly effective does it early in the day, or maybe even twice in the day. Sequencing is clearly defined. It's the core of almost all my teaching is to find huge success. So defining, like, for example, the sequence of how we teach you to make money. You define your skill set. You model after similar business. You create a revenue model that's going to sell. You drive fast marketing. You enlist a team. You ask for money every day. You seal the deal every day. And asking for cash means the money goes in your pocket. It's not verbally committed to. Sequence your support system. So, communication, the sequence of communication. It's not manipulative or passive aggressive. It's done in a very straightforward manner and create what I call looped communication. So looped communication, I'll start my day usually at some point when I move into the live out loud side of my day, connecting with, if not all, most of my managers and what they're doing and what the intentions are, making sure that we stay on track. Every Monday we have what we call a report out meeting where we track and pace the next week. So everyone on the team is always moving towards the same goal. How they get there is their result. And if we have to stop and do some sub-trainings or restarts, we do those. But it's like, what's the communication? What's the action? What's the planning? And you're just driving it to the result in the right order. And remember, if you want cash in your pocket, you have to do those right things. If you want to get healthy, you have to do the right things in the right order. And watch that your planning time is tangling a lot of you up. I want to speak just about the sequencing of debt. So many of you say, and we hear it all the time, and I'm going to go to Don in just a moment to get some questions, and he could even attest to this because he's on so many phone calls. I heard Don say this recently. He's helped, probably over 1,000 people get into programs that Live Out Loud through all his time here. But this conversation, if I got to get out of debt before I start making money, is completely backwards. I'm not saying you're not going to worry about debt, but to manage it and think you're going to get out of debt, then learn to make money, it's completely backwards. By learning to make money first and then growing and getting some growth and movement with money in your life, you will pay down debt. And then when your debt's gone, you have a growth pattern that will never stop in your life. If you pay down debt, nothing happens. There's no growth in your life. So I know you've been trained by industrial age model teachers. They're completely 100% backwards. So again, sequencing outdoes the wrong conversation. It is huge blocks that people are holding with what I call confused conversations. Has a lot of this get tangled up and backwards and out of sequence is because you're holding, many of you, and it's not that you're wrong, it's just you were so industrial age trained in your career, in your money, in your health, in the way you should have a family. I was talking to someone over the weekend about, our kids are, in elementary school and they're still coming home with homework of 2.2 kids in the white picket fence when over 60% of children are being raised by single parents. So, when is the curriculum going to get caught up in blended families? I mean, they're either single parents, blended families, but 2.2 kids in a white picket fence is an industrial age model. It's sort of like the 30-year career. I don't see it happening much, nor do we see it happening much. But our kids are getting taught a wrong conversation of a very old model, and they come home to a very confused state, and we wonder why, we're sending 2, 3, 4 messages to our children. Well, you have to look at yourself as an adult and say, where am I living those messages? I'm still living an industrial age model financially. Many of you got to say that. You got to own it. We only have to talk to you for 5 minutes. We know you have that going on. but you say you want to make money and be an entrepreneur. You have to pick a conversation to then generate the sequence to generate the yes in the right order. So organize the sequence in your mind. How do you view it? How do you undo what you've done? How do you time it out as best you can? I call it future pacing. And then as you start moving, especially those of you who are new, remember you have, tiny little atrophied muscles at doing this. Again, model other people, keep strength, the strength of a team around you, but stay flexible and adaptable so you're never set in stone. Some of you set a plan in stone and you work it even though the plan doesn't work. Some of the Dr. Phil students that I was assigned to, work with during those Dr. Phil, times and makeover times, they just kept doing the wrong thing harder. So in fact, some of the activities they were doing was the right time, so they were doing the right activities at the wrong time, and they just thought if I work harder at it, it's going to work. It's not going to work. It's never going to work because the right activity out of order will never work. So sequencing for many of you is a new concept. It's absolutely critical for you to anchor yes energy and anchor success in your life. So again, if any of you need that yes energy challenge that we put out, you can always call into our offices at Live Out Loud. Email info@liveoutloud.com. Our American number's 888-262-2402. The Australian number is 02-9247-4900. Take the Yes Energy Challenge. It's $5,000 and we're going to guarantee you $100,000 in a 1-year period. But you have to do everything we say, and we're going to teach you the sequencing. And you know what's so cool about it is once you get it, you can't undo it. Like sequencing is one of those cool skills that when you get it, you won't ever forget it. Like you won't even remember that you live life so unorganized because it makes so much sense when you start generating that money, that muscle, which generates money towards sequencing. So it's one of those things that if you need some coaching, you need some support, let us help you. The 3 days to cash will prove it to you. The Yes Energy Challenge will prove it even more. And, the good news for many of you, you folks, as I look at the homework that I want you to do, and I'm looking through the book on page 190, sequence your home life. You mothers that have lots and lots of kids, you know how to do what I'm talking about. You just haven't thought of it that way. See the tactics, view and visualize it. So time out a day, maybe just take one of the tasks and, begin with the end in mind. And write out what you think it is, and again, post it up on the forum, post up some homework, let us help you. As we move to our 8th week, which is next week, we're going to talk about more freedom days. We're going to talk about the legacy of making sure that your children always take this home with them. And we're going to work on your action plan. So come ready to do action planning week 8 next week. But before we head out to that, I want to make sure we get some questions in. So Don, what are some questions you have?
All right, Laurel. Yeah, we have some really good questions here tonight. Derek in Tequila, Washington asks, Laurel, I have been spending way too much time doing things I am not good at, but how do I hire people to do things that I can do myself when I need that money for marketing, advertising, etc.?
Great question. So I know you need the money, but you can't do it all. And again, that's what I said. I mean, there's some of you who are highly, highly skilled. Like I know you are. You have amazing skill sets. I have amazing skill sets. I can mention a lot of people on our team. Amazing skill sets. That doesn't mean you have to do it all. So where you need to be looking is what are those places that you're going to have the most leverage, that when you spend time doing more things that are right for you, that will produce that leverage, more money is going to come in the door. So I know that some of you have that skill, and it's, and another place I'm going to point to is some of you investors. Like I see it a lot in the real estate space. A lot of real estate investors say, well, I can make so much return on my own. Why would I diversify and go with somebody for a little bit smaller return? I said, because it's exactly that point. Diversification is powerful in a portfolio. It's actually mandatory in a portfolio to survive. So, I think you take the places. You can't do it all. I'd say you have a little ego in there. You think you can do it all, and start sourcing where you're going to have the most leverage in time. That's where I'd look for you.
Okay, great answer. Laurel, Samantha from Cincinnati writes, Laurel, I feel very indicted by the chapter on team. I have been what you refer to as a lone ranger. Can I just use your team and move on with my day?
I love that. Well, you know what we started to do for many, many, many areas of this work is we do have team. We can now build your websites for you. We can help with your entity tax structure with you. We do help with a lot of areas. So there's not like, you can't use my whole team, but there are a lot of places where we have just started to do the do it for you plan because we know we have an amazing team. I mean, I've been so blessed and I have a lot of years under my belt. So it's not just like, I've been blessed casually. I have enormous years under my belt of doing this over and over and over. And, yes, you can. So I would call into our office again and, we'll start looking at the places and the people where that's going to be critical for you to take on. Absolutely.
Well, Dave in Orlando is asking, as I build my own team, can I rely on one team member to bring on another team member, or do I need to be the one to bring on all my team members by myself?
Oh, great question. No, you absolutely rely on other team members. I rely on team members all the time to bring on other team members because remember, people know people. People know people that know people. And if they have great team and what I would say for you, depending on the job, I'm a huge fan of you screening, and just, you want to let other people, I don't interview by myself. I mean, we're bringing on some team members anytime we do, depending on that, the position. I always have, multiple people talk to them as well to make sure they're really, the right energy for the whole team. But I think that you can absolutely rely on other people. And that's where masterminding and team building is so important because I think many of you have people in your life that can come and help support you more than you allow them. So let them play. Okay,
Laurel. Sarah in Chicago.
One more.
One more. Two more?
Two more.
Sarah in Chicago writes, what do I do when my team member needs outpace my revenue production? It feels like I am in an endless cycle of not enough money coming in to pay for those things and those people I really need to hire or contract with.
Oh, great question. So again, I think it's down to sequencing. So you got to look at, and many of you, I can tell, many of you, you're looking at this going, man, I just need all these people. And you know what? You probably do. You probably need a lot of people. But the truth is, in the beginning, you're going to have to get selective about who you bring on the team, first, who you bring on second. So again, I told you the sequence for most of you. You got to get time back. And I know somebody say, oh, it's not that big a deal. I'll just handle the housekeeping. No, actually, then have your whole house be a mess. I mean, housekeeping, cleaning, cooking, all that stuff takes a lot of time. It does. I can promise you, have a messy house before you don't get that done. And I can promise you, if you guys live in geographically broad areas and you're, commuting your kids around a lot, I know I've got kids, I've got them in sports, I've got them in all sorts of stuff. And a lot of times they got to be somewhere 2 hours before the actual game starts. You don't have to be the one running them to the practice. Somebody else can. You meet them up at the game. I can do this magically in my sleep. I have done it for so many years. So you got to get really clear what's the most important and in the right order. So again, get your housekeeping, just like we talked about, get time back. After you get your time back, get your website, right, which includes writing, copy, get all that done. Then you get your sales team. And again, we can help you on the marketing side. We started to just take that on for a lot of our clients. And then you get bookkeeping done after that. It is the right order. So stop trying to struggle through figuring that out. That is the right order. Every one of our students that did it in that order properly has made money.
Excellent. All right, last question for you, Laurel, comes from Tanya in San Angelo, Texas. And Tanya writes, Laurel, what can I do when I know we need to invest in team and I could find the money to do so, but my business partner / husband insists on saving the money and have us do everything ourselves, which frequently means me doing it?
Lead, get a coach. I would say let a Live Out Loud coach facilitate you through it. Usually partners like that just don't understand it. They haven't seen the difference. They don't see and the other part of it is stop buying in. Stop buying in by doing it all. Allow a substandard result to occur. And then they'll kind of shape up. But I think really you need a coach. Let a Live Out Loud coach walk you through the path. We have saved more marriages than ended them by having some amazing coaches who some intentionally work with their significant other and some intentionally don't because they have sorted out what works and what doesn't work. And so you got to get really candid and honest about those places in your life. So team is enormous. We know that we could coach you forever on team. We plan on coaching you. We are here to help you and support you, help you make those tough decisions because they are tough. We know what we're asking you to do. We're not asking you to do anything light. You know, there's a reason why only, 10 or so % ever are super, super successful. And I know you can do it. You have to be led and sequence to the way that we say be sequenced. So allow us to help you, allow us to support you, allow us to let us put it in the right order. And I can't wait to help you get the result. So again, go to findyouryesenergy.com, get signed up for, not just signed up, but download the homework. If you haven't signed up for the forum, sign up for the forum and get on the forum and get that handled. And if you want the Yes Energy Challenge, call into our office. Let's guarantee some $100,000 incomes. Because just think, here's my fun goal and all that. It's not even, about just, each of you individually. It's about the sum. 100 people making $100,000 extra generates $10 million into this economy. I think it's time that a team of people put it on the line and say, listen, the recession's over, and here's the result that can get produced. But everyone's got to play. So my challenge is play the biggest game. Put it on the line. Trust yourself to do it. You can totally do it. And we will talk next week for week 8 of our Find Your Yes Energy. Dawn, Ken, thanks for being out and being amazing teammates as always. And we'll speak soon. Bye, you all.